Brothers in Arms Hell's Highway was developed in 2008 by Gearbox Software for the Xbox 360 and the PS3. It is the third and final installment of the Brothers in Arms game series. Despite improving the presentation and gunplay, I enjoyed Hell's Highway less than any of its predecessors. The game actually ends in a bit of a cliffhanger, but the story does not continue. Why doesn't the series continue? Why did so many find Hell's Highway frustrating? Let's discuss. Brothers in Arms is a tactical FPS where you give your units commands and try to suppress and flank the enemy. Each enemy unit has an indicator that shows its level of suppression, and suppressed enemies will be less aggressive, so you can more easily flank them. The problem is that unlike in prior installments, there are so many enemies that your best bet is simply to take potshots at the enemy from behind cover. Moving is dangerous for yourself and your squad, so the game rewards a slow, boring, potshot-based approach since, again, unlike in prior installments, your guns are relatively accurate. The cover and flanking mechanics just don't work as well in the third game as they did in the first two installments. Part of the issue is the way Brothers at Arms wants to function as a modern, exciting FPS and as a tactical experience. There are sections where you move alone through enemy territory, and it even uses some horror aesthetics like putting you in a spooky, dilapidated hospital. The problem is, if the game works just fine as an FPS, which most gamers are very familiar with, there is less incentive to engage with the tactical elements. And without really crisp tactical elements, Brothers in Arms is basically just a Medal of Honor clone. The story of Brothers in Arms is very reminiscent of the premium cable show, Band of Brothers, and it has always been a strong suit of the series. This time following Baker's recon unit during Operation Market Garden. Unfortunately, the story is very contingent on your knowledge of previous installments. I played the prior games recently, so I was able to follow along, but new gamers or gamers who weren't paying close attention will feel lost, and that can be a serious issue given how important the narrative is to Brothers in Arms. The main problem Brothers in Arms faces is the implementation of a cover system. Yes, you heard me right. Brothers in Arms uses an active cover system in a tactical World War II first-person shooter. How could this possibly go wrong? Besides how completely unconventional and unnatural a cover system feels in any FPS, the cover system in Brothers in Arms is particularly awkward and clumsy. If you choose to simply ignore it, as I did in my playthrough, you will be at a serious disadvantage, and the game will be very difficult, because traditional cover you can crouch behind is hard to come by. I don't blame Gearbox for implementing a cover system. I blame them for implementing a shitty cover system that is almost impossible to play without. It also negatively affects the tactical elements. Your squad will destroy units out of cover, but score absolutely 0 kills on enemies in cover. Likewise, when out of cover, your squad is vulnerable, but when they're in cover, they're nigh invincible to anything other than heavy explosives. This encourages you to leave your squad in place because moving them is dangerous. So they sit there, shooting and killing no one at all, while you go around and do all the work. Even the suppression mechanic is negatively affected. When enemies are suppressed, they are less likely to pop their heads out of cover and shoot, so you have fewer opportunities to kill them, making the already tedious shootouts even more excruciatingly dull. It's an example of how one bad design decision can really snowball and affect the entire product, helping to end the series prematurely and make things needlessly frustrating.
Here's the thought. If you're gonna cheat, make sure you don't use 2 Queen of Spades.
Oh, you son of a bitch, Paddock.